Former President of Botswana Ian Khama says the reported warrant of apprehension issued by a magistrate's court in Botswana against him and other people who are close to him is a confirmation of harassment by the Botswana government. Speaking to SABC International news editor Sophie Mokoena, former head of state of Botswana, says of the law enforcement agencies of Botswana, if they evoke the extradition treaty that binds SA and Botswana, this matter will have to be ventilated in a foreign court, and he will expose those behind his current challenges.
Mr. President, thanks for your time. We had on the news yesterday, or we are in possession of a document that speaks to the warrant of apprehension by the regional magistrate in Botswana, where you and the other people are expected to present themselves before the courts of law in Botswana. What's your reaction? What do you know?
This is just a continuation of what I have told you before. In fact, I would really plead with you to maybe find time to play for your audience, to remind them of the issues from our past interviews. So what's happening, Sophie, Kihore, you remember I mentioned that back in 2019, after I left the ruling party, because my CC was demonstrating the character of a typical dictator, I then joined another party, an opposition party, and we succeeded in unseating them in their stronghold, in their main stronghold in the country, through the campaigning that I was doing with others to help other opposition parties. That for him was the crime. Not these funny things that you're hearing about now. There's been no crime, I've done nothing wrong. That was the crime, to have left the ruling party and campaigned against him. And you remember that at the time, they brought up this allegation that I had stolen 10 billion US dollars. And I'm happy to say, a couple of months ago, the Chief Justice himself wrote a letter to my CC in which he said that that affidavit was fabricated, that the government brought, accusing me of having stolen that money. The Chief Justice himself. It had gone to court, where it was also thrown out as a fabrication. And my CC himself directly presided over that false affidavit. He sat with them and helped them to draft the lies that went into that fabrication. So that's where we are. And then the following year, you remember, I informed you that they tried to poison me on 3 occasions. And the proof of that is that even the special rapporteur from the United Nations confronted the Botswana government about what they had tried to do. So that is where we are. So after that 10 billion thing was thrown out by the court, they then dreamt up another charge, firearms, that I was in possession of firearms which were unlicensed. But I have the licenses. They tried to come to the house to say that they wanted to search and take them away, but they came with the wrong search warrant. Despite the fact that they came with the wrong search warrant, I offered them, I said, I've got nothing to hide. Tomorrow let's meet, I'll display the weapons and the licenses. They didn't come that day. They didn't come for another 10 days. So that just goes to show you that this was just a witch hunt. Now, this is the latest in the whole saga of trying to say that I should be arrested for those same charges which have been going on the whole of last year. Now, where we are now is that I have resolved previously, since 2019, we have got elections coming up in just over a year. This coming year, 2023, is going to be very busy politically in our country, as I'm sure it's going to be in South Africa, with your elections also coming in 2024. And I am going to campaign very rigorously to ensure that there's regime change in Botswana. Because the country, the poor people of Botswana, who are suffering a lot of pain due to his misrule and incompetence, a totally failed leader, the corruption that has taken place under him. I have said I'm going to be there in the forefront because I believe I still have some influence on the people of Botswana, having been a former president, the degree of which we can debate, but I do have some influence. And I'm going to use all that influence to ensure that he does not come back, because he's not good for the country. And that is why they are trying everything to ensure that I'm removed from the scene by hook or by crook.